Alright, beloveds, pour the tea slow because this one is layered. You know how, every couple of weeks, this whole Cardi and Stefon situation rearranges itself into a brand new puzzle? Well, the puzzle got flipped over again, and this time the picture on the box is one nobody on the timeline expected. Because the Bronx girl did not just respond to a blogger. She did not just clap back. No, baby, she sat down, opened a microphone, and basically read a eulogy over her own relationship, and then turned around and accidentally confirmed every single thing the streets have been whispering about Stefon, the baby mamas, the Christmas situation, and yes, the alleged plot to jump her. So before anybody scrolls, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's pull this apart piece by piece, because there is so much more underneath this rant than what the front page of the timeline is telling you. Now, here is where I'm starting, because I want you to understand the timeline correctly. The blogger Cardi went off on, the one she kept calling, fat, sleazy, greasy, that account over on X is the one known to the culture as Got the Scoop. And Got the Scoop has been on the Cardi beat for a long, long time. Up and down that page, you'll see post after post about Stefon allegedly messing with Playboi Carti's ex, the one running around as Cardi X, modeling for Stefon's clothing line, popping up in the lookbook for his furniture line, the whole nine. And yes, every one of Stefon's baby mothers seems to live on his tagged page. Kiki, or KJ, depending on who you ask in the family, she be on Stefon's page every other week. Pre be on there. The mamas of his other little ones be on there. So when the blogger pointed that out, it wasn't exactly a Pulitzer Prize winning scoop. It was just the obvious truth. And yet, that's the post that lit the match. So she sat down and went on a rant the likes of which we haven't seen since the divorce announcement. And the highlights, let me give them to you flat, are these. Number 1, our girl wants the planet to know she is not with Stefon anymore. Number 2, she wants the other mothers of Stefon's children to understand that the only reason they're around right now is because she, and I quote her tone here, is not around. And number 3, she said all of this with her own mouth. Not a blog. Not a source. Not a people familiar with the situation. Her own breath, her own audio. We'll dig into every layer, but those are the headlines, and they are spicy. Stay with me, because the first slip happens fast. She opened by saying, very confidently, that this isn't the version of her you saw in the last relationship. This isn't 7 years of crying over a man, this isn't that, this is new. Okay. Fine. We hear you. Growth is real. Healing is possible. But you have to understand something, and this is where my old school radar starts beeping. People who are genuinely unbothered do not record voice notes about being unbothered. They go silent. They block, they delete, they redecorate the living room, they post one good selfie, and they vanish into Pilates. The ones who pull up the microphone are the ones still feeling it. So when she tells us this isn't that, my eyebrow does that thing where it lifts on its own. And then comes the line that blew the whole thing wide open. She looked dead at the camera, dead at the room, dead at the timeline, and said, if he wanted them, how come he's not with them when I'm not around? Excuse me. Excuse me, ma'am. Let's freeze that frame, because that single sentence is doing more work than any receipt the blogger could ever post. Because, my love, he is with them. He is photographed with them. He is flying out with them. He's at their kids' birthday parties. He's at the Super Bowl with Pri and Kiki literally hours after being with you. So if the argument is, they're only around because I'm not around, what was happening before the Super Bowl, after the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl, and at the baby birthday parties we just watched unfold on the internet? That's not a gotcha from a blogger. That's a calendar. Now hold on, because I refuse to skip past how she addressed the famous Christmas situation. This is the moment of the whole rant that, to me, tells the bigger story. She said, and listen carefully, if a mama can't travel, it is what it is. She got her own kids. She got 3 other little ones at home. She wasn't about to drag those babies to somebody else's house where there's other things going on. And then, with no shame at all, she dropped the receipt heard around the world. The next day, Stefon allegedly came through and handed her, quote, $300,000 worth of gifts. $300,000. As a Christmas apology. As a Christmas patch-up. As a Christmas, please don't go on the internet about me. Cardi said it casual, like it was lunch money. But baby, no, calm, healed, unbothered sister volunteers that number on a live stream 6 months later. That number got dropped because that number still stings. Let's take a breath, because I want to point something out that I don't think enough people are saying. The Bronx girl keeps using the phrase, "I'm not pressed." She keeps using the phrase, "I don't care." She keeps telling us that whoever she dates next, we will never know, because she's not going to publicize her relationships anymore. Now stop right there. That is the exact same press release she gave us about Stefon. Word for word. She told us, when the Stefon situation first went public, that the next chapter of her love life would be private, sacred, kept off the timeline. And then what happened? Every event he had, she was there. Every appearance he made, she was front row. Every camera that caught him caught her smiling somewhere in the corner of the frame, while he gave her almost nothing in return. No grand gestures. No tour support. No public flowers, no public cosigns, no public protection. He showed up to one of her concerts. One. And even then, it didn't move the needle on her ticket sales, her streams, her brand. So when she tells us, the next one is private, I am sorry, but the tape is the tape. We've heard this song before, and we know the chorus. Now let me pivot, because there's another piece of this rant that nobody is sitting with long enough. She accused the blogger of saying that Stefon's baby mothers were planning to jump her. That's the word she used, jump. Now, I have been deep in this culture, I have been on these timelines, I have been in the receipts daily, and I personally have never seen Got the Scoop or anybody else with a real platform say that. Maybe it was a tweet in a thread I missed. Maybe it was a comment that got screenshotted into oblivion. But pulling that phrase out of nowhere is significant for a different reason, because she then accidentally argued against herself. She said, and I'm paraphrasing here for clarity, why would they jump me? I never did anything to any of them. I don't talk about them. I don't bother them. I don't have a problem with them. I don't even subliminally diss them. Okay. Beautiful. We love peace. We love sisterhood. We love unity. But then in the very same rant, in the very same paragraph of her own breath, she turned around and said the only reason those women are around Stefon right now is because she's not around. So which is it? Are you in peaceful neutrality with these women? Or are you holding the position that you are the prize they're substituting for? Because both cannot be true. Either there's no rivalry, in which case the baby mothers being at Stefon's events is just co-parenting, which is healthy, normal, and frankly admirable, or there is a rivalry, in which case the peace statement is a press release. Pick a side. The internet noticed. The internet always notices. Now, why did she feel the need to even mention the jump thing? Standing on the sidewalk peeking in, I have a theory. I think she heard a song. Specifically, I think our girl heard Akbar V's recent little drop, the one where she hopped on the pretty and petty instrumental and basically said, out loud, on a track, into a microphone, how it feel to be the ugly baby mama, left her hubby for a man that barely even want her. Excuse me. Excuse me. That bar is operating on a level of brutality the internet has not seen in a minute. And that lyric, paired with the steady drumbeat of blog posts about who's the favorite baby mama in Stefon's lineup, has clearly gotten under her skin. Because if it hadn't, she would not have spent 30 seconds of her rant explaining why the man she's supposedly broken up with brought her $300,000 of gifts the day after Christmas. That's not closure. That's a counter-argument. And you don't counter-argue something that doesn't bother you. Let me re-hook us for a second because the next part is even more telling. She tried to argue that the man can spend the holidays however he wants, go see your kids, do your thing, come see me later, bring me my gifts, we adults here. On the surface, that is the healthiest, most evolved, most blended family-friendly co-parenting energy I have ever heard. Standing ovation in theory. But here is the problem, and you cannot make this make sense unless you say this part out loud. If you are this comfortable, this elevated, this regulated about him spending Christmas with the other mamas and the kids, then why are you bringing it up 6 months later, unprovoked, on a public stream, while telling everyone you are not pressed? Healed people do not relitigate Christmas in June. Healed people are at the beach. Healed people are at brunch. Healed people are launching a fragrance. They are not on a microphone explaining the math of a holiday gift drop. That is not unbothered. That is bothered with a publicist. And here's the part that I have to keep saying because I want women, especially the ones who DM me this stuff, to really hear it. She keeps telling us she doesn't care. But look at the behavior. She's outside. She's at every event. The waist is snatched, the tatas are out, the lashes are full, the captions are spicy. That is not the behavior of someone moving on. That is the behavior of someone trying to be seen moving on. And there is a massive difference between the two. We've watched this exact playbook before. When she split from Offset, she did the same thing. Out every weekend. Drinks with the girls. Photos at every party. 2 babies in diapers at home and she's making sure the timeline knows she's fine. Why? Because in her world, the only way to win a public breakup is to be louder than the silence. The only way to bury the pain is to be photographed laughing on top of it. And listen, I get it. I sympathize. I really do. But that is not the same as being over it. That is a costume. The costume is the cover. So let me re-anchor. Because there are people in the comments right now, and I see you, who are going to say, why are you so hard on her? She's healing. She's a single mom. She's going through it. Let her live. And I hear you. I do. But this isn't hardness. This is observation. This is the same thing your auntie would say at the cookout while she's slicing the watermelon. She keeps trying to convince us of a feeling that her actions are arguing against. And whenever there is a gap between what a person says and what a person does, the truth lives in the gap, every single time. Always. I will die on this hill. Now let me give you the layer the blogs are not connecting, because this is where it gets messy. The reason our girl is going so hard at this one specific account is not really about this one specific account. It's about everything that account represents. Got the Scoop is the page that keeps surfacing the inconvenient timestamps. The screenshots that show Stefon's burner liking somebody. The clips that show him at an event with a baby mama 3 days after he was photographed with Cardi. The receipts that quietly remind the timeline that the "we're together" narrative was always being authored by one side of the relationship. So when she attacks this blogger, she is not really attacking a person. She is attacking the mirror. And we all know what happens when you swing on the mirror, you cut your own hand. Let me show you another fingerprint people are missing. She said, on this rant, that if she was a millionaire upon a millionaire upon a millionaire, you could not pay her to get online and rant about a man who carries a purse and gets caught with a different girl every week. Sis. You are a millionaire upon a millionaire upon a millionaire. And you are, right now, on the internet, ranting about a man who allegedly carries a purse and gets caught with a different girl every week. The receipt is the recording itself. You don't even have to send it to anybody. It sent itself. That's what I mean when I say the truth lives in the gap. Now, hear me when I say this next part, because I want to be fair. I am not here to drag the woman for sport. I genuinely do believe that there is a version of her that is trying, really, sincerely trying, to step out of the cycle. The cycle of being publicly humiliated, the cycle of being the loyal woman who covers for the chaos, the cycle of being the meal ticket dressed up as the muse. I think she sees it now. I think she's even tasted what it feels like to walk out the door. The problem is, the door swings. And every time she gets 2 steps onto the porch, somebody, Stefon, the algorithm, her own competitive spirit, the comment section, somebody, pulls her right back into the foyer. And until she figures out how to lock that door behind her, none of these rants are going to be the last one. There will be another one. In 2 weeks. Mark my words. Set a calendar reminder. Watch. Okay, but let's go deeper, because the part of the rant that nobody else seems to be parsing is the line about, you're obsessed with a celebrity you've never met. She told this blogger to walk to the mirror in her mama's small house and admit her obsession. Now, what's fascinating about that is the rhetorical move. That's a classic deflection. When you cannot answer the underlying accusation, you attack the messenger's life status. You attack their living situation. You attack their proximity to fame. Because if you can dismiss them as a nobody, you don't have to deal with the substance of what they're posting. But here is the inconvenient thing. What the blogger has been posting is not opinion. It's photographs. It's tagged posts. It's followers and unfollowers. It's screenshots. You cannot mirror shame a screenshot into being false. The post either exists or it doesn't. And these posts existed. They still exist. They're up right now. Pause with me here for the breath, because the next pivot is the most important. The Bronx girl is doing something that, frankly, a lot of public women have to do, and I want us to name it out loud. She is performing recovery. She is performing the version of herself she wishes she felt like. The unbothered woman. The boss. The mother of 4 who doesn't have time. The CEO who's about to drop new music and a fragrance and a beverage. And there is nothing wrong with performing recovery if performing recovery is what gets you to actual recovery. Sometimes you fake it until you make it. Sometimes the costume becomes the skin. But until the performance and the inner state line up, the rest of us are going to hear the gap. We're going to hear it in the voice cracks. We're going to hear it in the rant length. We're going to hear it in the 6-month-old Christmas receipts. We are going to hear it. Now, let's circle back to those receipts, because she promised them. She told the blogger, point blank, for every lie you got, I got receipts. Real text messages. Real videos. Real crying. Real tears. Okay, sis. Then where are they? Where is the post? Where is the screenshot? Where is the file dump? Because the next move, if you are confident, if you are healed, if you are sitting on a folder of vindication, is to drop the folder. Drop the texts. Drop the videos. Drop the receipts. Don't tell us they exist. Show us they exist. The withholding tells me one of two things. Either the receipts are not as juicy as the threat implied, or the receipts are real but they incriminate her as much as they incriminate Stefon, and she can't post them without burning her own carpet. Either way, the thread is doing more work than the file. And I want to be honest with you, I want this woman to win. I genuinely do. Cardi B is, to me, one of the most magnetic personalities of her entire generation. She is funny, she is unfiltered, she is loyal to a fault, and she will give you a bag for nothing if she likes you. There is a reason the Barty gang is the Barty gang. There is a reason every store she walks into sells out. There is a reason her catchphrases became part of the language. So when I sit here and dissect a rant like this, it is not because I am rooting against her. It is because I am watching her run, in real time, into the exact same wall she ran into last time. And I want somebody, anybody, to grab her shoulders and say, sis, the wall is the man. Stop swinging at the bloggers. The bloggers are just describing the wall. Let me come back to the baby mama angle one more time, because this part is going to stay with me. Her whole closing argument was that she has no problem with the other mothers, never spoke about them, never dissed them. And in the same breath she said the only reason those women have access to Stefon is because she's not in the picture. Do you hear how those two statements are at war? You can't say, I have no problem with these women, and, they are my replacements, in the same paragraph. Replacement framing is a problem statement. It positions the women as a cue. It positions Stefon as a throne. And it positions Cardi as the rightful monarch returning to her seat the moment she decides to. That is not peace. That is hierarchy. And let me tell you what the mothers of Stefon's other children probably heard when they listened to that rant. They heard, you are second string. They heard, you are filler. They heard, you only get him because she let him go. And those women, the ones who have been quietly co-parenting, who have been quietly raising their kids, who have not jumped on a microphone of their own to argue back, those women now have a brand new reason to be unimpressed. So in trying to position herself as above the situation, she actually pulled 3 more women into the situation. That's not a checkmate. That's a tangled board. And let me name something else nobody on the timeline wants to name out loud, because it's uncomfortable but it's the truth. The women who have been quietly raising Stefon's other babies didn't ask for a press release from anybody. They didn't sign up to be ranked. They didn't audition for the position of runner-up. Most of them have been doing what mothers do, wiping noses, doing school runs, scheduling pediatric appointments, posting cute little birthday cakes on Instagram. They were not at war with anybody. So when Cardi opens the microphone and casually slots them into a hierarchy, she is, intentionally or not, doing exactly what she just accused the blogger of doing. She is putting other women into a story they didn't ask to star in. And that's the part the comments are starting to clock. Watch the replies. Watch the quote tweets. The shift is already happening. Now, I want to spend a minute on the Playboi Carti angle, because that thread is doing something quiet but important. Playboi Carti, the rapper, has been popping up in this story in a roundabout way, first because the model the blogs are calling Cardi X is reportedly his ex, and now because of these whispers about Cardi B and Playboi Carti themselves possibly orbiting each other on social media. Likes, follows, the usual digital footprints. Is any of that confirmation of anything real? Absolutely not. But here's the part that should make Stefon sweat. The narrative that's now floating around is that Stefon and Playboi Carti's ex might be entangled, and Cardi and Playboi Carti himself might be doing a little internet flirting. Even if none of that is true, the symmetry of the rumor is delicious to the algorithm. It writes its own headline. And once a story can write its own headline, you don't need facts to keep it alive. You just need eyeballs. And eyeballs are flooding in. Now, I want to drag us back to the Akbar V piece for a deeper minute, because I don't think people understand how surgical that diss was. Akbar V didn't just throw a generic shot. She specifically targeted the one insecurity that even a megastar like Cardi B cannot fully armor herself against, the insecurity of being chosen. How it feel to be the ugly baby mama, left her hubby for a man that barely even want her. That bar does three things at once. It questions her beauty against the rest of the lineup. It questions her decision to leave Offset. And it questions whether Stefon ever wanted her in the first place. That's a triple shot in one breath. And Cardi, whether she'll admit it or not, heard every syllable. Because 30 seconds of her rant was, in effect, a response to that exact line. The $300,000 gift drop was Cardi's rebuttal. The, if he wanted them he'd be with them, was Cardi's rebuttal. The whole, I'm not pressed, loop was Cardi's rebuttal. She was rapping back, even if she was using paragraphs instead of bars. And that means Akbar V scored. Whether the streets want to admit it or not, the bar landed. Let me give you one more layer here, because this one is going to bother you when you sit with it. Cardi told us, in this same rant, that she has a double-minded theory of Stefon. She said a double-minded man cannot focus on one thing. He is focused on everything but the woman in front of him. Okay. Pause right there. That is a remarkably mature observation. That is a clean, clear, almost therapy room insight. The problem? You don't deliver a therapy room insight about a man you've supposedly already moved past. Therapy room insights are for journal entries. They are for the close friends group chat. They are for the actual therapist's office. When you deliver them on a public live stream, you are not processing the relationship. You are still litigating it. You are still trying to make the audience render a verdict. You are still trying to win the breakup. And the moment you are still trying to win the breakup is not over yet. That's just the law of the streets. And here is where I have to put on my big sister glasses and talk to Cardi B directly for a second, even though I know she'll never see this. Sis. Listen. Every single time, and I mean every single time, you have tried to be the loudest, funniest, most unbothered person in the room after a breakup, the camera has eventually caught you crying about that exact man 12 weeks later. That's not a criticism. That's a pattern. Patterns repeat unless they get interrupted. And the only thing that interrupts the pattern is choosing, in private, for nobody else's eyes, to actually feel the hurt. Not perform around it. Not joke through it. Not buy a new Birkin to bury it. Feel it. Sit with it. Let it move through you. Because every time Cardi tries to skip that step, the universe puts her back at the start of the lesson. And we're watching the universe do it again, in real time, on a Tuesday afternoon, on a live stream rant. Let me push us into another angle, because somebody in the comments is going to ask, what about Offset? Listen. The Offset of it all is its own deep dive, and I will give it its own video soon. But for the purposes of this rant, what matters is that the parallels between the Offset breakup era and the Stefon breakup era are starting to look identical. Same patterns. Same lines. Same outfits. Same nightclub appearances. Same, I'm so unbothered I had to tell you, voiceovers. Cardi told us, when she split from Offset, that she was going out every night with her girls, drinking, dancing, popping bottles, living free. She had 2 babies in diapers at home. And here we are, 2 relationships later, with a 3rd baby barely 7 months old, and the script is being read off the same teleprompter. Different man, same monologue. The wig is different. The shoes are different. The captions are different. But the show is the same show. Now before y'all jump in the comments with, "Why are you policing this woman's life?" hear me. I'm not policing anything. I am not saying don't go out. I am not saying don't have fun. I am not saying don't post. I am saying that the going out, the having fun, the posting are being deployed as evidence in an argument we never asked her to make. Nobody is asking Cardi to prove she is over Stefon. The only person who needs that proof is Cardi herself. And the moment you need to prove you are over someone, you are not over them. That is just the cleanest truth in the love life rulebook. Write it down. Tattoo it. Frame it. It will never not be true. Let me bring us back to the Christmas situation one more time, because there is a detail in there that I don't want to lose. Cardi said, very specifically, that she has 3 other kids. She is not bringing 3 other kids to somebody else's house where there's other things going on. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a reasonable, protective mama statement. I respect it. But listen to what's underneath it. Other things going on. Those are the other mothers. Those are the other babies. Those are the other shared spaces. She did not call it Stefon's home. She called it somebody else's house. Past tense. Distance language. The kind of language you use to describe a place you are choosing to no longer have access to. That is a woman erasing her own footprints from a property. And again, healed women don't narrate the erasure live. Healed women just stop showing up. The narration is the tell. Okay, re-anchor. Let me put on my journalism hat for 1 second and give you the verifiable timeline so the comments stay clean. We know, from public posts, that Stefon spent Christmas with multiple of his children and at least one of his other co-parents. We know, from Cardi's own live stream this week, that she did not bring her own children to that gathering. We know, from her own mouth, that Stefon allegedly came through the next day with a high-value gift drop she pegged at $300,000. We know that Got the Scoop has been documenting the Stefon Cardi X Playboi Carti orbit for months. We know that Akbar V dropped a diss bar that targeted Cardi specifically. And we know that, in the wake of all of this, she opened a microphone and said, on record, that she is no longer with Stefon. Everything else, every emotional interpretation, every theory, every read of the tea leaves, is built on top of those facts. Including mine. So take everything I say as one woman's read of a public situation. But the facts are the facts. Let me give you a prediction now, because this is the part of the deep dive where I get to play Oracle. Here is where I think this story goes next. Step 1, the timeline will go quiet for about 10 days. She will post a glow-up photo. Stefon will be photographed somewhere with somebody. The blogs will speculate. Step 2, a new piece of evidence will surface. It always does. A burner like. A leaked DM. A tagged photo from a club. Maybe a song lyric. Maybe a podcast clip. The streets always feed the streets. Step 3, she will be forced to respond again. Not because she wants to. Because the algorithm will demand it, and the comments will demand it, and her own competitive nature will demand it. Step 4, we will be right back here, in this same kind of video, in this same comments section, doing this same dance. And step 5, at some point, either she will actually walk away from this man for real, or she will reconcile with him quietly and will find out 3 months later when somebody screenshots a tagged post. Bet on one of those 2 outcomes. There is no third door. Now let me speak to the part of the audience that came here mad at her, because I want you to hear me. I am not making excuses for anybody. But I am also not joining the pile on. Because here's the thing. Public women, especially black public women, especially loud black public women, especially Bronx loud black public women, get held to a standard of grace that the men in their lives never get held to. Stefon, in this entire saga, has never given us a public rant. He has never had to. He doesn't need to defend himself, because the algorithm doesn't punish men the way it punishes women for being emotionally honest in public. So while we're critiquing the rant for being too much or too messy, let's remember that the only reason this rant exists is because the man at the center of the story keeps doing things that demand a response. The rant is a symptom. The cause is upstream. Keep that in mind in the comments. And let me say one more thing about the broader pattern, because I think this is the actual lesson. Every relationship Cardi has had publicly has followed the same emotional arc: stage 1, honeymoon energy, magazine covers, baby announcements, public adoration. Stage 2, cracks appear, blog posts, blurry footage, anonymous DMs. Stage 3, public confrontation, voice notes, live streams, viral arguments. Stage 4, we're done, press releases, deleted photos, hot girl summer captions. Stage 5, quiet reconciliation, a vacation photo with a hand on the lower back, a soft launch on a Sunday. And then we start the loop over. We are currently sitting in stage 4 of the Stefon arc. Stage 5 is the dangerous one. Stage 5 is where Cardi has historically lost her own argument. And stage 5 is the one where I'm going to be watching her hardest, because if she clears it without going back, that will be the actual headline. Not the rant. Not the receipts. Not the Christmas gifts. The headline will be the one she didn't post. Let me layer in one more piece, because we cannot end without it. Cardi B's professional life is, at this very moment, hanging in a really delicate place. She has been teasing new music for months. She has been promising a project for a year. She has tour commitments, brand deals, alcohol partnerships, beauty collaborations, all of it. And every single time the personal drama hijacks the news cycle, the professional rollout gets pushed back. So the cynical, business brain read of this rant is that it is, accidentally or on purpose, a giant marketing event. It is a content moment. It is a trending topic. It pumps her name into every algorithm in the country for 48 hours. And whether Cardi planned it or not, her team is absolutely benefiting from the engagement spike. So watch what drops in the next 2 weeks. Watch closely. If new music, a single, a collaboration, or a brand campaign drops within 14 days of this rant, you'll know exactly what this was. And if nothing drops, then this was genuine emotion, raw and unmonetized, and we should treat it accordingly. Either way, the math will reveal itself soon. Now, this is where I have to drop my honest, sit down, looking you in the eye take. From where I sit, the source of all of this, the rants, the receipts, the Christmas math, the blogger wars, the diss tracks, the burner account drama, the love triangle headlines, is not the Bronx girl. It is not the baby mothers. It is not the bloggers. It is Stefon. The center of the storm is one man who has, for many months now, been moving through this relationship with 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Showing up enough to keep her hooked. Pulling away enough to keep her insecure. Showering her with gifts when the heat gets high. Vanishing when the cameras die down. And the only person who can stop this cycle is the person who keeps choosing to walk back into it. That person is her. And until she points her energy at the actual source of the chaos, the cycle will keep spinning. So before I wrap, let me run through what we actually learned from this rant, because I want you to walk away with the timeline clean. We learned that she is, on the record, saying she's done with Stefon. We learned that the Christmas gift drop was real and was reportedly worth around $300,000. We learned that she heard, somewhere, that the baby mothers were going to jump her, even though that specific claim doesn't appear in any post anyone can verify. We learned that she is publicly framing herself as the only reason Stefon's other co-parents have access to him, which is, charitably, a stretch and, uncharitably, a shot. We learned that Akbar V's pretty and petty jab clearly hit, because she spent 30 seconds defending her status against the ugly baby mama, framing without ever saying Akbar's name. And we learned, most importantly of all, that this is not over. Anybody telling you this is the final chapter has not been paying attention to the last 3 years of Cardi's love life. I want to know what y'all think. I really, really do. Because this one is going to split the comments down the middle. Half of y'all are going to say, Tisa, let her live, she's healing, she said what she said, leave her alone. The other half are going to say, Cardi, sit down, you're not unbothered, the rant proved you're bothered, post the receipts or zip it. Both of those takes are valid. Both of those takes can live in the same comment section. But I need to hear your take, because the algorithm is going to put us in front of a brand new wave of people today, and I want them to walk into the most active, most opinionated, most respectful comment section on this whole topic. So tell me, is Cardi genuinely done this time? Or are we going to be back here, with another rant, by the end of the month? Drop your verdict, like the video, hit subscribe if this is your first time on the channel, and stay close, because the next chapter of this saga is already being written. The receipts are coming. They always come. One last thought before I let you go, because this one has been sitting on my chest the whole video. The reason this entire saga keeps trending, the reason every single deep dive on this topic gets pulled in front of a million extra eyeballs, is not because the public is bored. It is because, deep down, we all see a piece of ourselves in this story. The pattern of giving the wrong person too many chances. The pattern of pretending to be unbothered while the inside is on fire. The pattern of trying to win the breakup instead of just leaving it. The pattern of explaining ourselves to people who do not deserve an explanation. Cardi is going through, in front of 100 million people, what most of us have gone through in private. And whether the rant was performance, therapy, marketing, or pure rage, it touched a nerve because the nerve is universal. The lesson, if there is one in here for any of us listening, is simple. The healed version of you doesn't need to record the announcement. The healed version of you doesn't need to clap back at the blog. The healed version of you doesn't need to drop the receipt. The healed version of you just walks quietly out the door. And that is the version I want for her. That is the version I want for every woman watching this video. That is the version I want for me. Tell me in the comments if that hits for you, because I am about to read every single one of them. I'll see you on the next deep dive. Be good to each other out there. Bye, beloveds.